Hi everyone, this is Faye, and I wanted to do an update so everybody knows how I've been. Because the last video I was under a lot of stress. In that video was walking from Northern California, the Grass Valley, Lake Tahoe area, all the way down to Southern California. I made it to Laguna Beach. The whole process took about 1.5 months. I was very dehydrated. It was very, malnourished, and because of the malnourishedness, the overexhaustion, and the lack of sleep, and everything that comes with walking such a great distance while being homeless, I was very psychotic. So I apologize if a lot of my posts have been kind of wacky. I made it to Laguna when I walked, but during that time I had a lot of altercations with cops, and the cops were worried about me, and I was kind of making it difficult for people in Laguna Beach. I apologize to the Laguna Beach people if anybody recognizes me, that I'm sorry for whatever I did. So the police took me and put me in about 3 psychiatric facilities. So I went to one, and then I was transferred to another one. They weren't great facilities. I won't really get into that, but long story short, the last one I was at felt like a concentration camp. That's the short version. It was very triggering and traumatic, and in the emergency room, I was SA'd before I was transferred to that facility. So I stayed as coolly because I have dissociative identity disorder. So I blacked out during that time. I don't remember being transferred into the facility. So the fact that any of my alter egos were at use just kind of shows that I was under abuse. 222 on the timer. So after all these facilities, which took about, I would say, because I started walking from NorCal to SoCal in May of this year. I made it to SoCal in the middle of June, July, and been the psych wards for the rest of that. So when I got to the facility, it was like let's see, it hit October, and we had Halloween within the first facility I was at. Then it hit November when I was in the second facility. The first one, I think it was only 2 psych facilities, actually. I'm not sure. But I went to room and board between those 2, and that didn't work out. They pulled me right back in. And I was immediately SA'd in the ER area that I was in. And while that happened, that I had my seizures, of course, because it was too much stress for me. And the nurse or doctor who was on shift came and yelled at me and told me that it was consequences of my actions that this was happening. Nonetheless, I still have my opinion that even though there's a lot of shit things that happen and the SA happens, that we shouldn't just blame all men for it. I think that there very much has been growing a stigma over men in general. Sure, it's heavily traumatic when shit like that happens. I'm not putting it past it. I've been crying every night. I've been actually absolutely shattered since it happened. I just don't think as a community we just solely blame one part of humanity, which is basically just tearing down other humans because we're depressed about our trauma. I don't think we should sit in that and make that our focal point. I'm just telling you what's happened to me and sharing my opinion. I'm not asking anyone to hate it or deny it. I just want to remind everyone that men are human beings too, and they deserve to live life as well. And we can't also forget that men also have SA that happened to them. I know a lot of my male friends have gone through that. So after I was discharged from the facility, and when I got out of the second facility I was in, I was grateful that I was alive. Let me just explain to you guys, even the shorter version, if a concentration camp style, people would go into the showers and then they wouldn't entirely come out of the showers. And then this is the first facility that my first discharge paperwork rolled by. I was worried that I wasn't going to make it out of there alive ever, since I missed my first chance to be discharged. The second time that there was an ability to be discharged, I jumped at it. You know, I was like, okay, get me the hell out of here, because I didn't know if I didn't take this second chance to be discharged that I would make it out of there alive. Never have I been in the psych ward where I'm worrying about making it out of there alive. I'm sitting in the car as I'm finally discharged out of there, relieved that I'm alive. And this was Anaheim Community Hospital that this was at. My mom's suing because I also wouldn't let her talk to me. And that they kept dodging her calls and everything. And they wouldn't give me medications. They kept pushing me to my limits. I'm also autistic, so they found everything that bothers an autistic person that pushes that on them, and then forces me onto the bed in like a SA style and shoves the booty drug in me. Most traumatic space I've ever been in. I remember a third of that experience. One of my alter egos came out and I actually met them in person, which is horrendous for me to think about that I was pushed to that point. On the flip side, as soon as I was out of that facility, I went to Telecare, which is a mental health hub, and they were able to get me into a room and board. So right now I'm in a room and board with about 20 people, and I have a roommate, one person. So there's only 2 people in my room, thank God, because all the other rooms have multiple people in them. So that's a little bit of what's been going on with me. I'm 7:17 on the timer. I'm trying to do better in my life, and I'm trying to take care of me. My goal is to be mentally stable. I told that to my case manager. I'm trying for therapy again. I know my life has been shit. I made some shitty decisions. Must I remind everybody that I'm only 25, so I'm quite young. My son is fully up for adoption, to anyone who's been wondering. So he's with his adoptive family permanently. And I don't know, I know, no, as in N-O, I do not get to have visitation with him anymore, so that's been terrifying. Well, not terrifying, just disappointing. I've had a lot of grief because of the holidays are here that I'm missing my son's second Christmas, and I'm mad that I'm missing everything that goes along with him. I hope that in the future I'll be successful enough to have another kid, but that's not in my goal point. So my goal point, I want to be mentally stable. I want to have a job for at least 3 years. Eventually, like if I'm to be in a relationship, and that's not even on my goal point either. Okay, my goal point is to have stable mental health, to have a job, either a janitorial job, retail job, plus a volunteer job on top of that. And aside from retail, I want to try being a barista, but typically when you are applying, they want people who already have experience with coffee work, so they don't have to train you, which is really sucky. Because you must remember that I'm autistic, so I can learn quickly, but sometimes I'll need extra help, and I get that they also don't like seeing that on resumes. So it sets me back for a lot of job titles. And I also don't know a lot of job titles. I also thought that maybe I would work as a librarian, but that would be considered a volunteer work. On top of that, my goal is to make a lot of money and have a good savings account. I'm bipolar, so me aiming for saving is a really big thing. So there's that. I want to have a stable attachment style. For anybody who doesn't know what attachment styles are, there is fearful avoidant, there is anxious attachment style, there's avoidant attachment style, there's codependency, 10 on the timer. So I want a stable attachment style. And I want to be stable in general, so when I look at situations, I'm not instantly reactive, I'm responsive. I want to be more socially mature. I want to go back to school. These are all things on my success list. I want to have better social skills, so hopefully I can go to a class that teaches social skills and gets me support. I'm trying for regional center right now to see what services they can get me. I already have SSI disability. So these are just things in my life. I want to have an apartment on my own eventually. That's a really big goal of mine. And in the long run, a house, though I doubt that'll be possible in like a short time span. I think apartment is definitely on that time span. So that's everything that I want to kind of talk about. Although on my transition, I'm not really transitioning. I've gone fluid again, so I'm more feminine again. But yeah, I should also mention when I was in and out of the facilities, I had a female worker when she was taking blood. I was on the gurney and she grabbed my crotch area and said I heard it was tight, and then proceeded to take blood from my arm. There's just a lot of weird shits that has happened in the last couple of months. What it's proved to me is that I'm strong as fucking hell. I am very, very proud of myself to be sitting here alive and as calm and placid as I am about everything. To be honest, I'm just kind of numb. I'm in shock as well. There's also that my street husband Steven died. And then I'm away from my son, but I just cried tonight about missing Steven. I miss him so hella much. So there's that. I will continue content on my channel. I finally have access to everything. I did create a second channel called Faithful Faye. If you guys want to check that out, it's my secondary channel. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Mwah. This is Faye signing off.